All right, let's get this party started. So let's make sure that everything is starting up the way we'd expect it to. That's all looking good on YouTube. All right, we've got that. Perfect. All right, it looks like we are indeed streaming properly. All right, excellent. Let's kick this off. Good evening here on the East Coast of the United States. This is Tom from Inspiration Metalworks, and thought I'd have a little fun for a change. I haven't done a live stream in a while. Yes, I am still alive. No, I was not out in Texas with everybody for the Good of the Land Fest. Sorry about that, folks. Would have been nice. I know there are some folks who really wanted me to do a live stream from there, but just wasn't in the cards. There's a lot going on right now, and frankly, I needed a break. So I hope everybody had a good time out there. If you were out there, I've been back here, and if wow, I'm totally not prepared for this one. If you follow me on Instagram, let's see. Whoa, something just completely broke. I hope everything is still alive. Neat. Okay, so if you followed me on Instagram, you know that I've been doing some plasma cutting recently, this weekend, and I had a couple of people comment about the layout. I had a lot of parts to cut, and if I had taken, sorry, I'm trying to log into an account here. There we go, typing too fast. If I had taken the time to manually log everything, to do the nesting, it would have taken me hours and hours. And frankly, I didn't. And I had some people ask me about it though. So I'll tell you what, let me open up a picture here. I'm gonna switch to this view. Ooh, that is cool, isn't it? All right, so you guys can see here, that's what it looked like. And actually there was even more off to the side. So basically what I had was 2 plates worth of parts to cut. And we're trying to maximize the space, the material, the layout. And so I had a lot of people ask me, how do I do that? Because frankly, that is not it's not a simple task to try and do that. I mean, you can see there were actually 128 different parts that were getting cut out between the 2 sheets worth of stuff. So pretty busy on that one. Oh, let me just double check here. Do we have anybody? I don't even know if anybody is watching right now. Oh, there's a couple people. Okay. So anyways, like I said, pretty busy. So let's talk about how I did this. And it's a couple of steps, but it's pretty straightforward. So the first step is I'm going to choose some different parts. Same shop I made the new parts for. These were an old design that they were using for some steering brackets. But as you can see, I've got my initial sketch. Let me turn a couple of things off here. So I've got my initial sketch, right? But then when I created the bodies, I often will go in and add like little chamfers and stuff like that. Well, that's not in your sketch. And if you're going to be cutting this on a plasma cutter or a laser cutter or anything like that, you have to remember that you want your final sketch to be based off of what the body itself looks like. And so what I always do is I create a new sketch. In fact, let's do that. I create a new sketch and I put it on the top of one of the bodies just to get it in the right plane. And we'll zoom out a little bit. I just use the scroll button to zoom out. And I press P for project. Now it's also in the create, right? But I do project, right? So I'm doing a projection and I tell it to project from the bodies, right? And I think you can cheat and tell it it's all of the, yeah, it's not gonna let me. All right, so basically just select the bodies you want, right? Pretty straightforward. There's 9 bodies, 9 selected. You say okay. And I finish that sketch. And if we go back to our ISO view and turn the bodies off, you'll see there's the new sketch based on the outlines of the bodies themselves. So pretty straightforward, but this is the first step. Also, make sure when you're doing this that you've got your units correct based on what you do here and what your remote system is doing. I'm doing everything in inches here, so I have to make sure of that. So there it is. We do it. I'm going to export, so either one of these is fine. I just right click on that and save as DXF. Now when you do that, it wants to know where you're putting those things. I'm just going to say this is my YouTube test. And there they are. There's my 9 parts. Well, the thing is I might need more than one of these or one of these, right? This just represents the parts themselves. It's not necessarily the entire setup. So what do we do? Or let's say it does represent everything, but I need 50 sets. How do you do that? How do you lay that out? Do you do copy paste? Do you do erase? I mean, I've done stuff like that. Sometimes I do it directly in Fusion. Sometimes I do it in the Design Edge software on the PlasmaCam system that I use. I've recently started using a piece of software called from Deepnest. And we'll take a look at that right now. Actually, let me just double check. Anybody here? Hey, Larry. Hey, Dunk. Yeah, sorry I missed you, Larry. I know it would have been nice but out there. But anyways, so Deepnest, right? If you go to deepnest.io, this is an open source system, meaning you can just download it and use it. As you can see, it's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. It also can take advantage of some things for laser cutters that are really, really nice as well. So, you can scroll through here and you can see that, hey, it'll do some of the line merging. So if there's shared flat lines, it will go ahead and use those. So rather than having to cut the same path over and over again, you can cut down on some of the cuts that you have to make, limit some of the cuts that you have to make. It can also move around things that you don't have, right? So let's say you cut this big part out, but all you had is this extra space here. Well, it can lay out and limit to just certain areas, right? So really cool way of doing that. Again, scroll down, get your stuff, right? Pretty simple. Look, download it, unzip it, run it. Simple as that. Well, sort of. So let's take a look at it. Let's make sure everything is still running okay. All looks fine here. Cool. All right. So let's bring up the Deepnest software. Maybe. Come on. There we go. Yeah, I used to have 2 monitors in here. I brought one in for my daughter to use, and I haven't replaced it yet. So I'm used to having the 2 monitors, so I don't get into that weird tunnel thing. But anyways, let's see. So Deepnest. Now remember we talked about units. All right, that's going to be more important soon. So let's go through what I thought you're supposed. Well, actually, no. Let's do it the right way first. Once we've done it the right way one time, I'll show you some things to look out for. One thing to look out for, though, go over to the settings and make sure when you look at your import units, I've already set mine to inches, but the default is points, right? So if your parts are coming in itty bitty tiny or humongous, make sure that your scale is the same, right? Make sure that that's there. You notice there's different kinds of optimization, and as you hover over one side on the other side, it tells you what it's doing, right? So it helps you all along the way. Really, really nice little setup. So the first thing that I do is I define the size of the material that I have to cut from. Now, if you've already got that drawn out and you import it in with your DXF file, perfect, right? But I don't always know. Like a lot of times I'm doing the drawings first, and then I might have a different sheet of material that I'm working from. So what I do is you click on this little button at the bottom, add rectangle. What are we going to do? So let's say in this case it's 48 inches by 48 inches. So this is the max size that I can do on my table. And I click on, wow, my mouse is really just not playing nicely today. Click on the add button, and now you'll see I've got this item here. It tells me a little bit about the size. Now I'm going to tell it that it is the sheet, right? So that tells the system that this is what we're working with on our cut. This is our size of our material. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import that DXF file. So import, here's our YouTube test. And I'll click OK. And it's going to read that file and populate information about it. The other thing that it's going to do, as I click on things, whoops, let me turn that off. It's supposed to show it up on the right-hand side. Let me turn that off. It might not be showing up either because I've got my scale wrong, or I've got something else going on here. My mouse is just killing me. I think that's the center. No? Let's zoom out. Oh, well, there's my part, or one of the parts. I think it's right. So realistically, all you have to do is just press Start Nest. And there it is, right? So it'll start nesting, and it's going to find the most optimum layout. Now you notice it's got different ones. You can click through and see what they were, but the best one is the one on the top, right? And at any point, you can say, okay, that's enough, stop. And you can just export this out at this point. You're done. But I'm going to go back because let's say, in this case, I want more than those. No, I want more than that. Let's unselect all these. Let's say for this one, I know I need 3 of these, and this one I need 5. This one's 1. This one is actually a spacer that I use all the time on that. I need 3 of these, and I can use the arrow buttons as well. 3 of these, 2 of those. This one needs 8 as well, and this one needs 3. Right? So now I've got my numbers that I'm doing. I didn't have to draw it over again. I just said, hey, this is what I have. I press Start. And now you'll see that, hey, there's all those parts that I added in there. And I'm just going to let it run for a little bit and see what it comes up with. That might be the best one already, just off the bat. And you'll see it'll come up with a couple of different options. But it gives you some information. 39 of 39 parts placed, right? And it gives you, so I can stop here and I can take a look at it and say, well, all right, what about this one? Or there's this one. Do I like this better? Or do I like this one better? You have options. You choose the one that you want just by clicking on it. And when you're ready, you click the export. And you can export as SVG or as DXF, depending on what your system can import. Mine, I use DXF. So you click on export it as a DXF file. It wants to know what to do. And I say, I typically say, it's the same thing, but then I might tell it a little bit about it. It's nested 3 systems. And press save. Right? Really simple. Now let's mix it up a little bit. And actually, let me go back and look to see if anybody's have any questions. Mateo, oh my goodness, buddy, I miss you so much. I hope things are going well. I need to catch up with you soon. It's late. Why are you awake? Anyways, yeah. So it looks like no questions so far. So let's go back to this part. Now that's if I had a full sheet. I'm going to remove that one. And let's say all I've got is 24 inch by 24 inch. And that's my sheet, but I have 2 of them. Can I fit this on 2? Right? I can click Start Nest. And you'll see that it starts to do the layout. 2 sheets used, 39 of 39. Now notice, look, it actually arranged it so only 1 sheet was used. So it found a way for me to fit all of that on 1 sheet. Right? So I can look at the initial one, which took 2 sheets. This is 1 part, right? Man, I'd be so beating my head against the wall trying to figure that out. Right? But here it is. It found a way to get everything on 1 sheet now. So even though I thought it was going to take 2, I can do it with 1, and I can export it. Pretty neat, huh? I tell you, this surprised the heck out of me. It's just got so much. Oh, and the other thing is you can import multiples. So let's say I'll import some more. Here's just some gussets that I made for these guys as well. All right, so here's my gussets. I've got a problem with my export that I did. It doubled up on one of these, so I'm going to delete that. But they needed 4 of those, and let's just say that they needed 16 of these, right? So I just added drawings from one, I added drawings from another. So you could stack up all the jobs that you have going on, add them into this list, start the nest, and it'll start trying to figure out, okay, well, can it fit it? So we knew that it fit all that stuff in one sheet the last time. See, it figured it out. Even though I just added 20 more parts. And I tell you guys, this is all, I'm doing this on the fly. I didn't practice this. This is just, I was like, hey, let's see what it does. You notice how it's even starting to put some of these things inside, right? So what would ordinarily have been wasted space, it's finding ways to fit things in. It's pretty cool. All right, let's stop for a minute. I'm going to go back to just the camera and we'll see if there's any questions. We'll give it a minute to catch up. It looks like everybody's about there. All right. I tell you, I was so impressed with this system. The first time I tried it, I made some big mistakes and beat my head against the wall because I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. And the mistake I was making is that I was not actually creating the sheet, right? I didn't have the sheet defined, and so it didn't know how to make it. Or I thought that you were saying, hey, put this on the sheet, so I selected all of them as being on the sheet, right? Not the way that it goes. So I just wanted to take the time to just show you that, hey, this can be a really, really powerful setup and an easy way to do this. Like I said, it can read Corel files too, by the way. So if you're doing laser work and you do all your work with Corel, it can read those Corel files and then you can export either as DXF or SVG, which are also some of the files that Corel can use, or most laser cutters can use. Yeah, so that's about it. That was really all I had planned for this evening. I wasn't going to get too deep today. This was just kind of a quick, hey, while I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and turn this on and show everybody what's going on. So I hope everyone is doing well. I will definitely be making more content in the shop soon. Things are heating up. It's good. It's a challenge, but I'm definitely ready to be back in here. It's been a heck of a year. I know I haven't been around as much as I'd like, but that is going to change very soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, folks. It's great to have the support, and I'll see you guys again real soon. Thanks.